Chapter 3, Section 4, Dividing Polynomials Long Division. Coming into my classroom, some students have said they found this topic difficult. I'm going to show you how simple this really is. One of the things you need to know, and you probably already know this, is when you do subtraction, it changes the signs. We have two equations that we want to subtract. They are lined up nicely. To show the subtraction, we put parentheses around the second equation and put the subtraction symbol in front. Some of you worked this problem by changing the subtraction symbol to be a -1 and multiply that by everything that's inside the parentheses. Others of you just drop the parentheses and understand that every sign changes. We're going to go ahead and write the first equation, and then we're going to go ahead and change every sign inside the parentheses and write the second equation. And now you have your answer of 2x plus 7. You need to know the basic division process. You all know this. You learned it in elementary school. We're dividing 2 into 862. When you look at the first number, the number 8, 2 is dividing into 8. So you say to yourself, what number times 2 will give me 8? And you have the number 4, so you show 4. Now, if we were going to write this down as a procedure, you would write for the first thing, look at the first number. Now you're going to go ahead and multiply the 4 times the 2 to give you 8. So our second step is going to be do the multiplication. And then you're going to go ahead and subtract. To show the subtraction, you're going to draw the line and show the subtraction symbol, and you'd get 0. So our third step was to subtract. And our fourth step would be, well, bring down the next number, the 6. And that's our fourth step, bring down the next number. Now we're just going to keep following the same procedure. You look at the first number, multiply, subtract, bring down the next number. Here we go. 2 times what number gives me a 6? 3. So I'm going to write the 3. First step. Second step, multiply. Third step, we're going to subtract. By drawing the line and show the subtraction, we get a 0. Bring down the next number, which is 2. Starting again at the first process. 2 times what number gives me 2? A 1. So you're going to put the 1. We do the multiply. 2 times 1 is 2. We subtract by drawing the line, showing the subtraction, and we have a 0. Now we have no more numbers to bring down, so we're done, and our answer is 431. Now this procedure is exactly how you're going to divide with polynomials and variables. The only difference is that we know that when you subtract with the polynomials, you're going to change the signs. Before we start dividing, we have to do two things. The first is to put all the powers in descending order. Now what does that mean? That means that all your exponents have to be in descending order. 3, 2, 1, and then the constant. The second thing we have to do is make sure that all our powers are represented. And what does that mean? Well, take a look here. We have x cubed and x raised to the first and then the constant. We're missing in between here the x raised to the second power. So we're going to go in and actually add that x squared. Now since it really doesn't exist, we're going to make the coefficient 0 because 0 times x squared will make that term disappear. So now we're going to have everything in the correct order and represented. And let's show an example. This is your typical division problem. Sometimes you may replace the words divided by the division symbol. Now we're going to write this as x squared plus 3x minus 4 over x minus 1. This straight line represents division, and you can associate that with the straight line that's in the division symbol. Before we actually divide, you have to answer the two questions. The first question, is this in the correct order? And the second question, are any terms missing? Taking a look at the numerator, we have an exponent of 2, an exponent of 1, and we have a constant. So we're representing all the terms, and they are in the correct descending order. In the denominator, you have x raised to the 1 and the constant. Again, we have the correct order, and there are no terms missing. We're going to go ahead and check off those two questions that we've answered them and they're correct. We're going to write and work this problem the same way we worked division in elementary school. The first step we had written down was we're going to look at the first term. X is dividing into x squared. So your question is, what do I have to multiply that x by to get x squared? Now, in place of the question mark, you're going to put x, because x times x is x squared. And you want the same sign. Why do we want the same sign? Because later on we're going to subtract and the sign will change. So we do want the same sign. So now we have x times x, and that's going to give us the x squared. Now, that subtraction of 1 is attached to this x. You cannot separate it. It's the term x minus 1. They are together. So therefore, you have to multiply also the answer of x times that subtraction, or negative 1. And the answer there is a negative x. So we finished our multiplication. Our third step we wrote down was to subtract. Now remember, when you subtract, it changes the signs. This now is what I want you to remember. Draw the line, change the signs. Those are the two operations we're going to do, but you're going to think of it as one. Say it to yourself. Say it out loud. Remember it. Draw the line, change the signs. Draw the line, change the signs. Draw the line, change the signs. Now, why did I actually put that slash there and put the addition above the subtraction symbol? Because if I walk away and I come back, and if I didn't do that, I would never know if I actually had changed my signs or not. I would have to go back and start figuring it all out again. All right, let's continue to work the problem. X squared minus x squared is 0. That's what we want, to have 0. Now we have 3x plus x is going to give us the 4x. All right, our last step, bring down the next term. So we're going to bring down the subtraction of 4. And now we're back where we started, doing step 1. You're going to look at the first term, and you're going then to ask yourself, what do I have to multiply x by to get that 4x? Well, I got my x already. I have a coefficient of 1, and I need to have it to be a coefficient of 4. So I have to multiply it by 4. So I'm going to change that question mark to a 4. But before I do, I have to know what the sign is. And it's always going to be the same sign. So we want a positive. So you're going to end up putting a positive 4. And now you're going to multiply. 4 times the x is 4x. Looking good. And then you're going to multiply the 4 times the negative 1, which is a negative 4. Now remember what we do. The two actions. Here we go. You're going to go ahead, draw the line, change the signs. And now we go and figure this out with 4x minus 4x is going to be 0. That's the idea. And a negative 4 and a positive 4 is 0. And we have nothing else to bring down, so therefore you have no remainder, and your answer is going to be x plus 4. I want you to notice how everything lined up so nicely. All you had to do was think of what the multiplication was, and notice how everything, x squared, the x raised to the first power, and the constant, how everything always ended up arranged nicely, up and down. That's because we set up and answered the questions, are everything in the same order, and also with any term missing. And that's why it lines up so nicely. Now, in case you want to check this, you're going to take the answer and multiply it by the divisor. Now, to work this part of the problem, If you want to do the distributive property, you can, or you can use the FOIL method. FOIL is located and explained in the Chapter 3, Section 3, 3.3. You can also find it on YouTube, or if you still have difficulty, I'll create a video and put that up for you to see. Just email me and let me know. So when you multiply these and do the check, you're going to come up with the same answer of x squared plus 3x minus 4, which is exactly here what's underneath the division, x squared plus 3x minus 4. This is the last problem in this video. Before we divide, we have to answer the two questions. Is this the correct order? And is any term missing? We look at the exponents. We have 3, 1, and 2. They are not in the correct descending order, and one term is missing. We look here at the exponents. We have 2, 1, and a constant. They are in the correct order, and there's no term missing. We're going to write the problem, and as we do this, we're going to correct the order. So we look at the highest exponent as x cubed, so we write 5x cubed. After the x cubed, we should have an x squared, and we do, minus 7x squared. Now we should have an x raised to the first power, and we do, plus 4x. Now we should have the constant, which we don't have, so you put plus 0. And now we'll work the problem. Our first step is to look at the first term, 5x cubed. We're dividing x squared into 5x cubed. Your question is, what do I have to multiply this x squared in order to get 5x cubed? Well, let's look at the coefficient first. You've got a 1 here, and you need a 5, and you have to multiply. So what you need here is just a 5. So we're going to go ahead and write the 5. Now we look at the variables. We have x squared, and we have to multiply something to get x cubed. Now remember, when you multiply variables, you add the exponents, so we need just x1. So we're going to put the x. Let's check it and make sure in our head. 5x times x squared is 5x cubed. Good. We've got it. Write it. Now, you have to also remember to do the rest. 5x times 2x is going to be there a 10x squared, and 5x times 1 is going to be a 5x. Make it a point to look at this and make sure that your variables are the same, the x cubes, and that they're lined up, x squareds and x. This is what makes it so simple now to go ahead and subtract them. So, if it doesn't line up like this, you know that you made a mistake, and your mistake is probably not answering the first two questions correctly. So make sure you check that out. That's a good check as you're working the problem. So finishing this up, we do the draw the line, change the sign. And we get a negative 17x squared and a negative 1x. Bring down the next term, which is plus 0, and we start again. Looking in front of the x squared, we have a 1. And we need a negative 17. Remember, we want the same sign. So we have to go ahead and multiply that 1 by the negative 17. I already have the x squareds. If I put another x up there, I'd get x cubed, which I don't want. I got the x squareds already. So negative 17 times x squared is going to be negative 17x squared. Negative 17 times the 2x is a negative 34x. And negative 17 times the 1 is going to be a negative 17. Now you know what we're going to do next. Draw the line, change the signs. And the first term is gone, and we have a negative 1x and a positive 34 is a 33x, and then we have a 17. Going over to bring down another term, well, there isn't any, so you are done. 33x plus 17 is your remainder. And this is going to be written as 5x minus 17, remainder of 33x plus 17 over the divisor. And remember, put the plus sign in there. And this is your answer. This is the end of the video.